Jake, that sucked. Jake, what?
It sucked a lot.
What was that? What happened to this Titans team on Sunday? We talked about this in the preview. If there's anything that is going to be a cause for concern going into this game, we didn't want to, totally disrespect the Bengals, but we did realize that they have a passing attack that could definitely cause some problems for our secondary. What do you know? That is completely what happened. And not just that, but also something I didn't anticipate, and that's also against the Cincinnati team with their offensive line issues, a team of backups and practice squatters. Still, no pressure, no sacks, can't tackle behind the line of scrimmage. This defense has layers upon layers of problems, Jake. Titans go down 31-20 on the road on Sunday. So, Jake, you were at the game, and and you also were at the game last time we played in Cincinnati, which is when Bleedy Ray Wilson got burned by Andy Dalton on a.
I need to stop going to the games in Cincinnati. Long story short.
I think that's a safe bet. I think you're done going to Titans games there. But so how was it, man? You were there in person in the whipping winds. What was it like?
Yes. It was good. The winds made it a lot colder than it might have felt without them. But we were sitting in the sun. It was a good time overall. I mean, not the result you want, obviously. But like you said, I think the problem with this defense and what I kind of saw yesterday and what I was more disappointed in, okay, Jonathan Joseph aside, Jonathan Joseph was burned every which way yesterday. He needs to get a pink slip, which he might with Desmond King coming in. We'll get to that talk. I'm you said it before we started recording, but glad we didn't do the recap yet because we do have a positive change coming in here with this Desmond King trade. But this pass rush, Justin, is so disappointing. Is it? And I might be a hot take. I might be coming in, too out of left field here, but is it valid to maybe call the Clowney signing a bust? Vic Beasley, obviously a bust. You let go of guys like Jarrell Casey and Logan Ryan, pillars of this defense, to bring in Jadeveon Clowney, who can't get home against a bunch of practice squad guys who met for the first time in the locker room on Sunday. That's pretty disappointing, Justin. And, they did have points where they got pressure on Joe Burrow, but they can't even tackle him. He was just Houdini, sliding, spinning every which way. And it's very disappointing to at least not register one sack yesterday. Not even one.
Yeah, even when Clowney has a clear path to Joe Burrow, all he has to do is wrap him up and take him down, and we still can't get it done.
Yeah.
Totally disappointing. And Beasley and Clowney, these signings that were supposed to, be last minute patchwork in this defensive line to complete this whole defensive unit after getting rid of Jarrell Casey, Logan Ryan, like you said. But you know what? They're worth the money now. I'm sure I would be curious to wonder if J-Rob would take back those moves and still leave us. I don't know. Could we physically afford it? I mean, Casey was on the roster. It's not like we had to get rid of him or we couldn't. Obviously, we wouldn't have been able to sign
Casey.
Clowney,
Was a bigger price tag, I think, at the point of getting rid of them than Logan Ryan. Logan Ryan did kind of want upwards of $10 million, which they weren't, adept to give him.
Is he? He's getting like 7.5 with the Giants.
Yeah.
So he didn't even get that.
Exactly.
But yeah, this defense and I think John Robinson's those decisions to get rid of Casey and Ryan, and of course the Dean Pease, Kerry Coombs, cornerback coaches from last year. Have some to do with it as well. It has to. Those moves, personnel roster moves by J-Rob is definitely looking worse and worse every week.
And we saw the Titans, struggle to start hot against this Bengals team. That's something I kind of wanted to see from them here because I know, how dangerous Joe Burrow looks. And I think it's a little bit of, we need to kind of stop discrediting Joe Burrow and this Bengals offense a little bit because I don't think it's solely on our defense and secondary and pass rush being bad. I mean, that has a lot to do with it, without a doubt. But Joe Burrow made some impressive plays yesterday. Very impressive throws, some very, mature-looking, throwing his receivers open kind of throws, stuff you would love to see out of a rookie quarterback, which they are getting in Joe Burrow. So I think he's going to be the guy for Cincinnati if they can build around him. So definite, I was kind of not so much on the Joe train earlier this season, but he looked great yesterday, and he just flat out beat us, Justin.
And not just Burrow, but the receivers too were making some incredibly impressive catches. T. Higgins,
contested catches.
Transformed. Sure. He transformed into Randy Moss. He was mossing our defensive backs, just going way up top, way climbing the ladder, or right over Joseph. There was one throw that I thought Joe Burrow had thrown it away. But he had T. Higgins right there on the sideline and dropped it right over, I think it was Joseph's head.
Yeah.
Unbelievably frustrating. We could not buy a third down stop.
That's so
their offense. Their offense is legitimately, I think, good. It's both Titans defense being terrible, but they definitely made some plays, and any defense would have had trouble stopping some of those pass plays for sure.
No doubt. And the Titans came out early, and I think it's going to be something that's overshadowed with the absolute failure of a defense we saw yesterday. But this team left 10 points on the field in their first 2 drives. So you have they go right down. The offense kind of starting hot. Corey Davis was a big bright spot in this game. He had 8 grabs, 128 yards, and a touchdown. Great athletic touchdown at the end of the game there.
Dude, I love how chill he is too. Whenever he got the touchdown and the ref was like incomplete, most receivers would be like, "No, what?"
Yeah.
He was just like, "No." And then he pointed up at the replay board and then walked back to the sideline. He's like, "I know I got this touchdown," and he's like that. Yeah. He's like that all the time. I see him jaw every now and then, but yeah, he's chill. He doesn't get overly hyped or excited when he makes a play. He acts like he's been there before. And I like it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So Corey Davis, big bright spot on this team. But going back, they left 10 points on the field. And then, they get the ball back. They kind of drive, but they have a drive that stalls, and they send out Gostkowski, good God, for a 53-yarder. I don't know if you want to blame it on the winds or not, but he doinks it off the right upright. And then, the Bengals get the ball back then, up 3 with a short field. Joe Burrow takes advantage of the short field, and all of a sudden the Titans are down 10-0 when it should have been Titans up 10-3 at that point. Yeah, so the slow start killed him.
The mistakes. Like you said, so the Tannehill interception was bad. We can't have that. And I don't think Tannehill played poorly necessarily, but that was a bad decision. And then he took a couple sacks as well later on in the game that stalled some drives. But this offense was moving the ball. Like we didn't have a single 3 and out. We had 3 total possessions. If you want to take out the very last possession where there was like a minute left. Almost got some points, but the Humphreys hit to the head and he dropped the ball. But the Bengals were having 5-minute drives. They had 2 5-minute touchdown drives, another 5-minute drive that they got a field goal off of. Our offense, our defense is putting our offense in a position where our offense has to be perfect. And one of my friends was texting me this during the game yesterday. It's like, we can't have any mistakes on offense. Most teams at least can have an average defense where if your quarterback throws a red zone pick in the end zone, that's just a mistake and they can brush it off and overcome it. But our offense, literally, you feel like they have to score on every single drive because the defense can't stop us. Or the defense can't stop them.
And yeah, I definitely don't want to I didn't mean to kind of brush over that Tannehill interception on the first possession. That was an absolutely inexcusable throw. And it's a throw we have kind of yet to see Tannehill make in a Titans uniform. Absolutely. He kind of made those mistakes in Miami, but since coming to the Titans, we have not seen him make those kinds of fatal mistakes.
Trying to make too much happen, which is something that I think he did. He tried to force a lot of stuff in Miami.
And there's 2 Bengals in front of A.J. Brown.
Yeah.
When he
the
throws
one guy
that
didn't
ball.
think it was going to be the other guy.
Exactly.
Intercepted twice on one pass.
Absolutely inexcusable throw. And some defenses can come out and get a stop and they'll punt the ball back. But, in this case, I think they did end up forcing a punt on that possession. But, yeah, our offense needs to cash in almost every opportunity, it feels like, to win these games. Justin, this defense has given up 30-plus points in every game besides Buffalo and Pittsburgh. And they gave up 27 to Pittsburgh. Yeah. Oh, big whoop. The only good showing from this defense has been that Buffalo game where they made Josh Allen, look a little frazzled. But moving along, Derrick Henry gets his first loss after rushing for 100 yards on the day. He had 18 carries for 112 yards and a touchdown. He looked great, Justin.
He did.
There was a good push from our offensive line. He had 6.2 yards a carry, consistently gashing.
We were gashing him. I was just about to say, and we were gashing him with Henry. Shout out Deontay Foreman. Foreman. New signing. I had no idea we even activated him until
he looked great. Yeah, you looked down at who's that 45 guy running around down there, but he had 7.4 yards a carry. He had 5 totes for 37 yards. Good day from him. McNichols was gashing.
Dude,
the run game was great.
We ran for 218 yards at 7.5 yards per carry. Like, how are we so out of this game? Yeah. How are we so out of this game with those rushing numbers and just how we were continually gashing them? I do remember there's one specific drive, I think in the second half. We started out with like 7 straight runs with Henry. Maybe one of the backups carried it as well. But then we started throwing it, and then the drive stalled. And I think maybe that was that first possession in the third quarter when Ben Jones got a holding penalty. Then Tannehill gets sacked, and we end up having to punt. I think even all of our punts the drive ended up in Cincinnati territory. So we were moving the ball, and then it would either stall or we would score. We did score 3 touchdowns. Yeah.
Correct.
Or the Tannehill interception, or
the Gostkowski missed kick,
Yeah, so it's
with this defense, at the end of the day, you can't leave those 10 points, especially early in the game, on the field. But yeah, Derrick Henry looked great yesterday. Deontay Foreman looked great. This running game and this offense doesn't have many things to fix. Now, the Ryan Tannehill MVP candidacy took a big hit yesterday. He didn't really look like the guy who was going to resurrect this team after falling down early. He was 18 of 30, 233 yards, 2 touchdowns. But he did have that one just absolutely terrible interception down in the red zone, which, again, his red zone efficiency has been great. This offense's red zone efficiency has been great.
That was so disappointing. It's very surprising and just uncharacteristic of him. Like we said, I was shocked that he threw that pass, and
it was on first down. And just head scratching, frustrating play. And when you get down like that, and your defenses can't generate a pass rush, can't cover these receivers, they're going after Joseph every single play. Just an overall damning day, and you can't have those kind of mistakes, especially when your defense is so on its heels.
Yeah, for sure. Do you want to mention, I know a lot of people were upset about the refs, like, the Titans beat themselves and they're
now I will
for this loss than anything else, but there was some bad stuff happening with the refs, like the Jayon Brown interception. We might have still lost that game, but that would have given us the ball with 4 minutes left.
A chance. It would have given a
20-yard line. Yeah. And there was no pass interference anywhere. I don't know. The refs, what made me mad too is the refs didn't even designate a number. They just said pass interference defense, spot foul. It's like, that makes me think that y'all don't know what you're talking about.
Now, being at the game, obviously they didn't show the replay of a questionable call on the big screen or anything. But I did notice on that play, Jayon Brown intercepts it. He kind of falls to the ground, gets up, and that is when I noticed a flag being thrown, a full, Jayon Brown already has the ball, football-esque kind of move, and I thought it was, holding on the return or something. I thought that was for sure what it might have been, but they ended up calling, But as far as the refs goes, you'd like to see the Humphreys hit get penalized. That was a really scary moment.
Especially when the Vaccaro had like hands to the neck area and it was more of like a shove, and if that did not look as egregious on a defenseless player to the head or neck area as the Humphreys thing did. So didn't like to see the inconsistency there when you bring up, the Humphreys versus the call against Vaccaro.
Yeah, no doubt. But, at this point, just watching the whole game and watching the highlights back, the referees didn't lose this game. I don't think they deserve, the Titans lose this game without if they call 15 yards on Humphreys, Gostkowski's going to shank the field goal at halftime anyway. If the Jayon Brown pick does happen, you're still down 2 scores with, 4 minutes left. You're still in a bad position. Your defense can't get off the field. Who knows? You would like to see the pick go through and this kind of team have a chance because they have been so good in late game situations.
You never know.
But you can't hang the loss on the refs.
Yeah. We have pulled out some of those improbable come from behinds and like show the fight. Almost did it against Pittsburgh. But anyway, yeah, I agree. I just thought that was a point of discussion after the game too, because there were some calls that did not seem favorable. But yeah, can't blame it all on the refs. I do want to point out a stat again about the defense and how poor this defense is. And is this legitimately, it's like a hot take, but is this one of the worst defenses that we've seen maybe ever in Nashville in terms of this third down conversion percentage? I think it was Mike Herndon, shout out to him once again, said that if the Titans stopped their opponents on 49 consecutive third downs, that would bring them to the league average. We would be average if we got 49 consecutive third down stops. That blows my mind.
That's abysmal.
How is this team?
That's absolutely horrible.
How is this team 5-2? Thank God for this offense. They have definitely been dragging this team to a 5-2 record. If we just need an average defense. We just need an average defense, I think, to make a run at possibly a Super Bowl. But this defense is going to hold this team back big time from doing.
And it already has.
Special.
You would think. They win against Pittsburgh. Sorry to cut you off, but
no, you're good.
You'd think they win against Pittsburgh last week. They almost pulled off the comeback, lost by 3 points, and had a game-tying field goal attempt at the end. You think if this defense was average on third down, especially, Pittsburgh's whole name of the game last week was time of possession and third down conversions. You'd think they win that game against Pittsburgh, and they absolutely beat this Bengals team with an average defense.
Yeah.
So it's, you're already seeing it handicap them, which you like to see. I'm glad you brought up, a possible run at a Super Bowl, because we had talked a little bit about it in the preview. This team has kind of like about a 2-year window. You have this season and you have next season to really possibly contend for a Super Bowl in Tennessee. And like to see John Robinson make the move.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, and you're still going to have to probably make some roster changes to some key parts, because you got to think this is our last year with Corey Davis. I don't know if we're going to be able to pay him what he's going to demand on the open market. So you're going to have the hole at receiver. But in terms of, you're going to have A.J. Brown, Tannehill, and Henry together guaranteed for 2 more years. Jonnu Smith, I'm sure we're going to re-sign him. So a lot of these key offensive pieces that are really giving us a chance, I think. But just some slight roster changes, but to keep this core together like that. Sorry, I just cut you off again too. But
no, all good.
2-year window is.
You have the
like
2-year
how we're
window.
looking at that. Yeah.
And in the National Football League, you have to go all in at some point. It kind of backfired on the Rams a couple years ago, but they at least got there.
Yeah, they were close. Their offense didn't fall apart in the Super Bowl. They would have done it. They were that close. Yeah.
Yep. And but they've kind of come back down to earth a little bit as the years have gone. But you have to make the push. You're not going to get to the Super Bowl trotting out Jonathan Joseph and Chris Jackson opposite Malcolm Butler, who's a coin flip liability as it is. I think shedding the Malcolm Butler contract, kind of just a side note, could open up a lot of cap space for this team to kind of make that push starting next year. I don't think they're to cut Butler this year by any means.
You think? Is this not Butler's last year? I thought he was on a 3-year deal. I could be wrong. Is this his last year of his contract?
I would have to look that up. They might. Okay. Well, either way, they can dump his contract and not have that money set aside for somebody who's going to get toasted every other week.
Right.
But as a Titans fan, I loved seeing, and I we can kind of move on from the Bengals game. I mean, there's not much to really talk about. The Titans just got their asses kicked, and they got beat. There's nothing much we can say about it. Shout out to Joe Burrow, looking like the guy in Cincinnati. Shout out to the offensive line.
Yeah, got to be excited if you're a Bengals fan, especially after this game. This is a very good win to see as a Cincinnati fan for sure.
No doubt. So as a Titans fan, I'm glad to see John Robinson make the move today, this Monday afternoon, to go get Desmond King from the Los Angeles Chargers, a former All-Pro corner in 2018. He's been a great corner in the nickel for them, I've read. He's a specialized returner. I don't know if we will use him in a return facet. You would hope that they're kind of slotting him to be more of that cover corner
Doug,
guy.
Please don't want to risk any injury. Just play corner. We can't have you do too much. I'd be happy if he just did that. Raymond is fine. He's not perfect, but he's fine with me.
Yeah. You love to see John Robinson pick up the phone and make that call, especially for a 6th round pick, Justin. The Titans have 3 6th-round picks going into the
Pennies
2021 draft. Yeah. And you just got rid of one of them. So one of your 3 6th-round picks you've traded for, an all-pro corner, be it in 2018, but still he is that level of play. He's still very young.
Right.
He was drafted in 2017. But you love to see John Robinson go, pick up the phone, make that move.
Yeah, you're looking at a 6th-round pick for a guy you're going to have at minimum 9. I think we have 9 games left because he's in the last year of his contract. He's only he's only getting a count. I think it was $1.1 million against the cap is what I saw on Twitter. And you're also looking at a guy, if he comes in and plays really well, we might just be looking at the Malcolm Butler replacement.
Yeah, absolutely.
Future. And we could probably sign him to a cheaper deal than what we did for Butler for sure. I don't know if they're the same kind of corner though, because Butler does typically line up on the outside, and then Desmond King is kind of more your slot guy. So it's not a completely, he's coming to be the Logan Ryan then that we're just missing this year.
Yeah, exactly. And, you've drafted Christian Fulton to maybe be kind of that more develop as an outside corner. I know he kind of plays some slot as well, but you would hope, with the capital that you've invested in Christian Fulton being a 2nd-round pick, that he can kind of progress and be, one of your top 2 corners opposite Adoree Jackson. You would hope Adoree Jackson could come back at least next week and return to form. Who even knows at this point if Adoree Jackson is going to be on the field for this Titans team, until maybe December.
Yeah, it's what a mystery this knee is. Do we have any more details about it? It's just knee injury.
Yeah.
Is it bruised? Is it flipped around? Like, what exactly is the issue here with this knee that he can't get over it? And he's out there
coming into the season. So coming into the season, it wasn't talked about as if it would be he's missing half the season. But now it was like we are halfway into the season, and he's hasn't played yet.
But so thinking optimistically though, if he does come back, let's say best case scenario, he's back. We have Desmond King in here. We're suddenly looking at a cornerback room with Butler, Jackson, Desmond King, and then we'll have Fulton come off IR eventually. So that's 4 corners, and that looks way better than trotting out Joseph and
Chris Jackson
and Chris Jackson. And so personnel-wise, it looks like that could be a very positive upgrade. But we'll see, because this very much could be a scheme-related issue if the struggles continue, even with getting back Adoree and adding Desmond King. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll have some questions answered, perhaps.
For sure. And people, mostly reporters, have been kind of pounding Mike Vrabel in these press conferences. Do you need a defensive coordinator? Justin, I think he needs a defensive coordinator. At this point, I mean – we've given it, it's 7 games now. Titans are 5-2. And that's something I think we have to probably end the episode on, is that this team's still 5-2 and they still have the division lead. Yeah. Anyways, Mike Vrabel needs some help, I think, schematically. Because, again, shout out Mike Herndon. He's such a great follow. At this point, it's just the Mike Herndon podcast where we just regurgitate his tweets.
Right.
But he brought up the point that if your front 3 or 4 of Simmons and Clowney and Harold Landry, and then Vic Beasley, he just needs to go. He's a huge bust. But and then Vic Beasley can't get home, at least win some pass rushing reps against that Bengals offensive line. I mean, at some point you got to throw scheme out the window and say these guys just don't have it. And you have to win, the reps to get to the quarterback. And
even with a bad
effort
scheme
thing or a schematic thing,
surely.
I don't know. But bringing in Desmond King, I did read another caveat where he likes to blitz on corner blitzes quite a bit, and that's something we've missed from Logan Ryan's departure. Having a guy like Vaccaro coming up from the secondary, or Logan Ryan was great at coming off the edge and at least forcing errant throws and pressure, if not getting a sack. So hopefully Desmond King can come in and be that guy at corner who can cover a damn receiver, please, and then B, maybe have a wild card blitz off the edge or something like that, and God, just something to shock alive this Titans pass rush and the whole defense, frankly, as a whole.
Yeah, for sure. I'm totally with you. We'll see. I mean, yeah, you said it. I don't really think I have anything to add off the top of my head. But yeah, I'm excited that J-Rob is making some moves and he's seeing a problem, seeing an issue, and a lot of people probably wanted Stephon Gilmore, but what we're getting in return for what we gave up is humongous. I think this guy has a lot of good football left. Like you said, he's only 25. Even if his play has regressed since his All-Pro year, it's better than what we're trotting out there for sure. And for a team with Super Bowl aspirations, you got to pull the trigger on something like this. And I did want to make another point too, kind of a more John Robinson and general point, and looking at this year. And we love J-Rob. He's been a godsend to this franchise since he got here. I mean, look at what he's done through the draft and free agency and building this offense. He traded for Tannehill, drafted Henry, drafted Davis and Brown and Jonnu Smith, and signed Ben Jones several years ago. Roger Saffold. Like he's completely constructed this offense and done a heck of a job.
And I believe he made the trade for Dennis Kelly too.
Yeah,
he offloaded Dorial Green Beckham.
Yeah. So
for this left tackle nobody's heard of, and now he's a starter for us.
And he's done a lot of the same good things on the defense. He's drafted key pieces, Jayon Brown and Kevin Byard, Rashawn Evans, Harold Landry. He was really good draft pick at the time. But yeah, he's got to start producing again. But
and then Big Jeff, and he's going to be
Big Jeff.
The crown jewel of this defense, I think, for years to come, at least in the front seven.
So a lot of these drafts you're looking at even as rookies, they were coming in and making an impact on the team. We are getting zero impact from our draft class this year. Fulton gave us the most, and that was only a few games, and then he went on IR. Wilson's been a problem, our first-round pick. Evans, hamstring injury. Where is Laurel Murchison? Isn't he on the defensive line? Is he even suiting up for games? Is he inactive? Is he hurt? I thought he was getting reps earlier in the season, and I was like, oh, yeah, he's like our fifth-round draft pick. Is he buried on the depth chart? What's going on?
He must be, man. I don't know what is going to help out this defense. I'm going to be very interested to see if Mike Vrabel does bring in a defensive coordinator, or John Robinson maybe forces his hand to bring in a defensive coordinator. I don't know, how much pull J-Rob might have with coaching staff, but at least some to say, hey, Mike, dude, you got to get it together. We've had this experimental season where you are the defensive coordinator, and it's clearly a huge regression from last year.
And you can go back further on his track record as a defensive coordinator from when he was the defensive coordinator with Houston for one season, and they finished last in yards allowed per game. So you don't have a good track record, Vrabel. We had a great defense last year, but we had I don't think
Dean Pease.
He didn't coach even one season with Dick LeBeau, right? Didn't LeBeau and Malarkey leave in the same?
I believe so. Yeah.
So it was all Dean Pease, but LeBeau was great too. But Dean Pease was really good. And so, I don't think, we're not, we're casual fans, but we can see a common denominator here, Vrabel. And when he does say things like having a defensive coordinator has zero to do with the issue. Well, there's a lot of evidence that points the other way. So I don't know.
It's hard to believe.
Yeah.
But, I still have faith in Vrabel being the head coach of this team. I am
definitely still fans of Vrabel. Yeah.
All but lost faith in him being the defensive coordinator. He's got to bring in an outside force. But to kind of wrap up this conversation, Justin, I wanted to end it on the positive note that this team is 5-2. This team is still 5-2 despite all the problems and the sky is falling mentality right now surrounding this fan base and this team. They're 5-2 and a division leader. They're 2-0 in the division. With 2 out of their next 4 games are against the Colts, who are also 5-2. So you go in and you win that Thursday night. Bless you.
I'm a little under the weather. I'm sorry if I've been sounding crazy or weird, but I'm stopped up. I'm sorry. I'm okay though. I'm all right.
Oh, so good. Stopped up, unlike our opponent's offense.
Nice. I like the reference.
But anyways, 5-2 division leader. You have a huge opportunity ahead of you, especially going into that Thursday night game against Indy at home. If you can go in and win that game, especially, the Colts don't have that easy of a schedule coming up either. They're kind of up and down, but they have some quality opponents ahead of them. If you can win that game and the Colts drop a few in the process, and if you could win that second game against Indianapolis, a lot of your problems kind of go away for the meantime until we get into January, because you're going to get that division under your belt and you're going to get a stranglehold on that division. and then hopefully they can put it together. Who knows? That's kind of a rosy outlook on things.
That Indianapolis stretch is gonna be a huge 3-game run right there. We can't get too far ahead though, because we got to get wins when we can, which comes first against the Bears. Again, this is going to be a great chance for our defense not to try to get things turned around, because they're an offense that scares you a little bit less than the Bengals on paper. Their passing attack is less lethal, and probably their running game too. I'm not sure, what their offensive line situation is, but it's got to be better than the patchwork O-line that the Bengals put out there, and we still couldn't get a sack. So we'll see what happens. It's going to be a huge game to get against the Bears, against a winnable matchup, possibly for our defense. And because like you were saying with the Colts, they're actually looking like the better team right now with how they're playing. They're blowing out opponents. They dropped 40. They won by 3 touchdowns against Detroit.
Yep. Which is possibly the Bengals of the NFC. So
maybe so. Yeah, you're right. So they're playing better football right now. They actually have a defense. And Phillip Rivers, people make fun of him because he makes so many boneheaded mistakes throughout the course of a game, but he still has the ability to pick defenses apart, especially if you have a defense like the Titans. So that is going to be a problem matchup for us. So it's going to be a tough contested division race, especially in that 3-game stretch. Man, that's going to be
huge.
A huge test for us. So,
but moving forward, let's get it back on track. Let's hire a defensive coordinator, and somebody hire a defensive coordinator. Don't even tell Vrabel. Tell him he's assistant to the regional manager and everything, and hire somebody to secretly run this defense. Please, anybody at this point it would be a help. And I wouldn't look for Desmond King to make his debut against the Bears, but he'll probably making his debut in that huge Thursday night matchup. I think the earliest he's going to be available to practice is Saturday. And that's a walkthrough anyways, and you don't think they're going to throw him to the Lions. The Bears, if you will. Haha, zing. But this Sunday. So you would probably look for Desmond King to make his debut against the Colts and hopefully make an impact on this defense.
Yeah. Well, I was just going to say, hopefully, if that's the case, then maybe Adoree Jackson will be back against the Bears, because I don't want to see the same secondary here for another week. I would love to get one of those guys in the game. And it also reminded me, Quentin Spain, I was shocked to see him playing in the game, because I don't think he arrived or signed until days before. Or there's no way he even got in a single full practice, right? Was he fully practicing with them on Friday, which would have been the last day of a full practice?
It would have been close. I'm not sure. I couldn't tell you, but
it's just unbelievable. Close. Unbelievable. And Spain's he was a decent O lineman for us, but the fact that he was just thrown in there with this random group of O linemen that can't have built chemistry between them. We can't get a sack. We can't get a tackle for a loss. I'm sorry. I continue to go back and harp on that. You tried, dude. You tried.
All good. Well, the team is 5-2. 5-2 division.
Tried to keep
Let's
it
just
positive.
worry about that. Let's focus on these 2 Indianapolis Colts games. I am fully expecting to drop that game to Baltimore in the middle. That's fine if you take care of Indy both times, because then that means this Titans team is going to have an absolute fist around the division heading into the December. And, they're going to be playing NFC games. They have 2 NFC North games in December, one against the Lions. So who knows what they're going to look like in December.
The Packers.
We're looking too far ahead. Let's focus on these Colts games. Let's get right. Let's beat Chicago. Good God, somebody help this defense. And comment, subscribe, all that jazz. Justin,
end optimistically, so I don't remember another negative thing to say. We got to end on a happy note. We can take down this Bears team. We can do it. Yeah, bring it on. Nick Foles in Nashville. We beat him big time when he was with the Jags last year. So. That's when Derrick Henry went off. So that's
got to bring the same formula.
Formula is the same, hopefully. So as you said, comment, subscribe if you like our stuff. We appreciate you. Thanks for listening to us rambling about this terrible loss, but hopefully we get things turned around. And look for our preview video and weekly picks video this weekend. So that's it.
All right. Sounds good. Everybody stay calm, tighten up. We'll be okay. 5-2. Just remember that.
Yes. Peace.
All right. Peace, y'all.